Once upon a time, two princes set out to try their luck in the world, but they led such wicked and foolish lives that they no longer dared to step foot in their parents' palace. And so, after some time had passed, and no news had come from them, the youngest brother, whom they called Prostil, set out to find them. But when he finally found his brothers, they began to mock him. "Listen, you simpleton, you must believe that you can succeed in the world, for we, who are wiser than you, have not accomplished much." However, they decided to continue on their journey together, and soon they came across a large ant-hill. The two older brothers saw at once that they could disturb the ants and watch as they scurried away in terror of death. But Prostil held them back, saying, "Leave the ants in peace. I will not let you disturb their tranquility." They continued on their way and soon came across a lake, where a large number of ducks were swimming. The two older brothers quickly snatched up a few of them, eager to cook them. But Prostil opposed them, saying, "Leave the birds in peace. I will not let you kill them." As they journeyed on, they soon came across a beehive in a hollow tree. The hive was teeming with bees, and the air was filled with the sweet scent of honey. The two older brothers had the idea to set fire to the tree and destroy the beehive, so they could collect the honey. But Prostil resisted them even more fiercely, saying, "Leave the bees in peace. I will not let you destroy them." At last, they arrived at a magnificent palace, where thousands of stone horses milled about in the courtyards. They searched the palace from top to bottom, but found no one anywhere. They finally came to a locked door with 3 locks on it. Prostil, ever cautious, suggested that they should not disturb the bees and the other animals they had encountered on their journey. His brothers laughed at him, but eventually they all decided to continue on their way. As they entered the palace, a kind old man appeared and invited them to sit down at a table laden with all sorts of delicious foods. After they had eaten and drunk their fill, the old man took them to separate chambers to sleep. The next morning, the old man came to the oldest brother and led him to a stone table, where 3 puzzles were inscribed. If they could solve them, the palace would be theirs. The first puzzle read, "Under the moss of the forest, the 1,000 pearls of the emperor's daughter are hidden, and must be found in one day. If even one pearl is missing at sunset, the horse that has attempted to find them will be turned to stone." The oldest brother set out to find the pearls, but no matter how hard he looked, he could only find 100 pearls. And so, when the sun began to set, he was turned to stone. The second brother attempted to solve the puzzle, but he too was only able to find 200 pearls. When the sun set, he too was turned to stone. Prostil, the youngest brother, was the last one to attempt the puzzle. He searched the forest for a long time, but it seemed as if he would never find the pearls. Just when he was about to give up, he heard a soft voice behind him. "Listen, you simpleton," the voice said, "I'll show you how to do it." Prostil turned and saw a tiny ant approaching him. The ant was the leader of the ants who had been disturbed by his brothers earlier. "Don't worry, Prostil," said the ant. "I'll help you. You see, my workers and I have been searching for the pearls for hours, and we've found all 1,000 of them. Let us present them to you, and you can solve the puzzle." Prostil was amazed, but he was also grateful for the ant's help. He gathered up the pearls and presented them to the stone table, where the old man was waiting. The second puzzle read, "In the depths of the lake, the key to the emperor's daughter's bedchamber is hidden, and must be retrieved. If it is not found by sunset, the duck that attempts to find it will be turned to stone." Prostil knew that he had to find the key, and so he set out to the lake. Just as he arrived, a large number of ducks swam up to him. They were the same ducks that he and his brothers had disturbed earlier. "Don't be afraid, Prostil," said the leader of the ducks. "We'll help you find the key. You see, we've been trying to retrieve it for a long time, and we know exactly where it is. Follow us." Prostil followed the ducks, and they eventually led him to the key. He retrieved the key and presented it to the stone table, where the old man was waiting. The third puzzle read, among the 3 sleeping princesses, you must identify the youngest and most beautiful one. Only then will the palace be yours. Prostil knew that this would be the hardest puzzle of all, but he was determined to solve it. He entered the princesses' chambers and looked at each one of them. But it seemed as if they all looked the same. Just when he was about to give up, a small bee flew into the room. It was the queen bee of the beehive that Prostil and his brothers had disturbed earlier. Don't worry, Prostil, said the bee. I'll help you. I'll fly from one princess to the other, and when I land on the princess who has tasted honey, you'll know that she's the right one. Prostil watched as the bee flew from one princess to the other, until it landed on the youngest and most beautiful one. He knew at once that she was the right princess. The old man appeared, and with a wave of his hand, the palace was transformed. The stone horses returned to their normal form, and the princess woke up from her sleep. Prostil and the princess were married, and lived happily ever after. And so, the story of Prostil and the queen bee came to an end, a tale of kindness, courage, and determination.